This is Radio Free Pro Wrestling, your home for smart and stunning wrestling debates with lifelong wrestling fans, Shawn and Ashlee. Let the debate begin.
Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to this edition of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Yes, I'm Shawn, and I'm along with my tag team partner, Ashlee. We're here to bring you the best and the worst from the class at the Castle in Scotland. And I may hurt some people because what I believe as being one of the best finishes I have seen in recent memory, it might not be the match you're thinking about, guys. Ashlee, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Got a lot of wrestling this weekend, so we'll have a lot to talk about.
You know, there's so much stuff going on. We got Clash at the Castle. We had New Japan Pro Wrestling releasing the brackets for the G1 tournament. We have AEW bringing people into the Owen Hart tournament. It's going to be a very busy July here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. So let's waste no time. Let's go back and review Clash at the Castle in Scotland. Ashlee, what was your overall thought of this pay-per-view?
I don't want to come off harsh. I think a little under what I expected, but not by much. I feel like I'm hoping Damian Priest is good because that was scary. But otherwise, I really enjoyed that. And Bayley and Piper Niven, I think, had the best match on the card.
I agree with you. I feel like that was the match of the night, with a close second going to Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the IC title. Those two matches in the middle were the strongest of the 5 matches on the card. And we're going to start with the kickoff match. And ladies and gentlemen, it was the match I was thinking would be the kickoff match a week ago, as we had Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in an I Quit match. Actually, I opened the show up saying there's 2 matches that have finishes. One I thought was the best, and one I thought was one of the worst finishes I have seen in a while. Which one do you think this is?
Are you going worse?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, this is the one I said had the worst finish possible in an I Quit match I have seen in a while.
It was very polarizing.
Yes, it was. Okay, this was a fine match. Halfway in the middle, AJ Styles gets a submission hold on Cody, and Cody literally passes out. Wait a minute. It's an I Quit match. The babyface can't answer the referee. AJ Styles will be your new WWE Universal Champion, for one. But no, the referee tells AJ, sorry, bud, this is an I Quit match. He can't say I quit, so this match continues. I'm like, WTF? Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart? Remember that one?
That's arguably the most famous example.
Okay, so you put this to the side. This match continues, and we see babyface Cody Rhodes get the handcuffs off of him and gives a little bit of payback to AJ by handcuffing him to the middle rope, beats him with some chair shots, and AJ goes like, screw you, Cody. I'm like, cool, this match is going to continue just a little bit more. I was right, 2 minutes more as Cody gets out of the ring, grabs the ring steps, slide back in the ring after he tosses the ring steps into the ring, picks them up, and defiant AJ Styles goes like, I quit. No more. I quit. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, even for a heel move, it's not my favorite, I'll say.
It's just literally, I could accept this if this was we didn't have the chairs 2 minutes before and AJ's going screw you, Cody. You ain't done enough yet. This should have gone maybe 10 more minutes or something. Just long enough to get that out of my mind so they can go back to this and use this as a finish, and maybe I'll be okay with it. But this way, this finish, it kind of took me out of this match. And I'm a big Cody fan. I'm a big AJ Styles fan. And I was like, dude, this was the match I was looking forward to the most this week. And I am ranting about it on the show.
AJ Styles should have just let him knock him out, because then by that logic, he couldn't have lost.
Exactly. You should have hit to the back. He should have headed to the shower. Dude, I know the rule book. I'm going. Great night. Okay, so we move on to the second match of the show, and it's the women's tag team title match. We have Zoe Starks, Shayna Baszler versus the Unholy Union, which is Alba, Fyre, Alba, and the babyface team, all babyface teams, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. And I remember last week, actually, I was saying if one of the Scott people won this match, it was going to be this one, and we were all wrong. The whole internet community was wrong, as Alba and Alba Fyre wins this match. We saw the baby faces nail their finisher on Zoe Starks and get pushed out of the way by Alba. She makes the cover, and we have new WWE Women Tag Team Champions. And for me personally, seeing Kaylee Ray as a champion in WWE proper, I'm so happy for her. And if you haven't known the story, her family came over to visit during late May here in the States, and a car hit her dad and her mom. Unfortunately, her mom did not survive. And there's going to be a GoFundMe link in the show notes here. If you want to go donate, it helps the family get her mom back to Scotland so they can lay her to rest. And we just want to wish all our best to Kaylee Ray and send our condolences.
Absolutely. That's horrible.
So going to the press conference after this show, Triple H made sure to mention that it wasn't the only reason they changed the titles around was for this feel-good moment with Kaylee Ray. He told the people in attendance that these two ladies have earned it, and granted, they are a good tag team, but it was a very surprising end to the second match.
Yeah, honestly, I honestly thought of you when the finish happened, because I remember last week when we did like the predictions and everything, you were like, I would love to see them win the titles, and then they did, and I was like, oh wow, because we all just assumed they're going to be pushing this Jade and Bianca train along, and it's kind of cool. Like, this is a cool moment, and they should capitalize on this and push these ladies further up the card and keep them there.
Exactly. I can't wait to see what they do next with this story. I feel like you can have the baby faces chase Dawn and Alba Fyre. Now let's move on to the third match of the night. And memory serves me right, it's the Intercontinental title match, and it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. This was a fine match. It had an interesting story, as Gable was trying to get every member of the Alpha Academy to cheat for him as he distracts the referee. So the crazy spot of the night where the crowd started chanting UF up to Chad Gable was they're on the floor. Sami Zayn pushes Chad Gable into Maxine, and Otis turns to Chad Gable going like, did you just chop block our girl? And the look on Chad Gable's face was like, oh my word, I effed up. No, it was Sami. It was Sami.
No, like you said, like, this is probably the second best match on the card. And Sami Zayn has always been one of my favorite competitors, so I'm always going to be like invested in his stuff. We know now that Chad Gable is re-signed, so keep this going. Keep this going. You can bring this through SummerSlam if you need to. This would be really cool to keep going, because the snap for everybody on Chad Gable's side is going to be glorious.
Exactly. So after that spot I told you about, Otis picks up Maxine, heads to the back, and basically tells Chad, have a great night. You're on your own. So once that happened, I knew Sami Zayn was going to win. I felt like they were just giving a reason for Chad not to have a chance to win this title by cheating. So they removed his team from the side, and Sami basically won the match. And it was a fine match. I was happy with this match. So 2 out of 3 going into our fourth match. I'm pretty satisfied with this pay-per-view.
Yeah. We'll say we had some cursed ropes in this pay-per-view, though.
Yeah, we did. We didn't talk about the one in the spot in the women's tag team title match where Jade slipped off the top during her hot tag. But
that was honestly very scary. I hope she's good, because that could be dangerous in any sort of way. That was just very scary.
It was, but I was happy for her because she picked herself up, carried on real fast. So I was like, hey, for all you people who doubted Jade, she's getting better. We just have to, we're on the journey with her as she's learning how to do all this professional wrestling.
Right. And I saw so many harsh takes about like that happening to Jade. Like, it happened to AJ Styles too. Do you think like he needs like training too? Like, it was clearly the ropes, because like there was like 3 or 4 like really noticeable issues with the ropes. It's not all these performers having this issue.
Exactly. As we move to the fourth match of the night, as we have Bayley versus Piper Niven, there's the spot in this match where Bayley normally goes up to the top rope to do her like stomp as a lady's laying on the rope. She did it from the second rope this time. So we can see that the performers were notified of the issue with the ropes. Like, we saw the referee talk to AJ Styles about it before that match. But this match,
no, that's good that if she like didn't feel comfortable, that, you know, she like realized like, hey, I can't do this right now. But like we were saying, like, this is clearly just an issue with the ropes. Like, too much slack, maybe.
It
looked a little like shaky.
I was thinking it was being like a very warm day in the UK. They had been going through a very warm summer, like unusually warm for the UK standards. I just wonder if maybe humidity or something caused those ropes to get a little more restricted than what they're normal. But let's get back to Piper Niven versus Bayley, probably the best match of the night. And after the tag team surprise win, I was going, okay, they're not going to let Piper beat Bayley here. But Piper had a good showing in defeat. This was a good showing for Piper Niven. I feel like you could replay this match at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I think for somebody who hasn't had much time recently, like it was a good showing for her and a good case for her to get more time.
And Chelsea Green was a national treasure yet again. As Bayley stomps on her hand, she jumps up on the side of the ring, yells at Charles Robinson, going like, she got my hand, throw her out of the match. She got my hand. So he tosses her out of the match. And we get this surprise luchador come down to try to help Piper Niven, but who was that? Oh, it was Chelsea Green underneath the mask, but I thought it was a fun little throwback to like, how can Chelsea get back into this match? And it was a fine spot. But Bayley doesn't, we saw a belly to belly off the second rope, not for the 3 count. Piper Niven kicks out. So Bayley goes to a crucifix bomb for a pin.
That was very good.
It looked very good. It was a nice secondary finisher here for this match. And like I said, babyface wins here. And we got one match left. So what are you thinking going into this world title match between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest?
That exactly what was going to happen happened.
Okay, so if you were on the internet the morning of the show, you kind of noticed that CM Punk was popping up around Glasgow. So he was there. So you knew something was up. I got to say, how they pulled the sucker off was my favorite finish of a match in a while. As we see the referee take the bump, we see the visual pan for Drew. It's like a 10 count. The crowd counts to 10. And all we see is the back of this referee running down through the aisle. He slides in. 1, 2. He stops. They flip the camera around. It's CM Punk doing the V sign. And I'm going like, bravo, chef kiss. This was so great.
Yes, the crowd was not happy.
Yes, Glasgow was not happy in the moment, but I got to say that was a great finish. And hats off to Damian Priest to continue this match, because like literally probably 5 to 9 minutes into this match, he goes for his normal like springboard off the ropes, and he gets tied up in the ropes and hangs there for a good bit. And it takes the referee and Drew McIntyre to get him free from the ropes, and he's noticeably limping through the rest of this match.
Yeah, that was very scary because that could do so many different things to your leg and your knee, and it was very good to see like Drew very much check on him before doing anything else.
Exactly. I was happy that Drew was the person he's rousing here because he had somebody with some experience. He basically played with the crowd like, hey, look, he's still hanging upside down here. I can't win this match with him being like this. I got to get him out of the ropes. So here I go.
So all of this being said, Drew needs a win at this Clash at the Castle.
Well, we're going to come on to this at the 76 question part of the show. I want to ask you about this. I got to say, Drew might be cursed.
I mean, it makes sense for what they could have done, but they also could have had Drew have his moment and then have him versus Punk for the title.
I mean, yes, you could have done that, and it could have been one of the hottest feuds of the summer. But I could see where the WWE would go to. You go like, hey, this match is so hot that we don't need a title on this match, so we can keep Damian as our world champion, and maybe they're going to have Damian Priest versus Gunther down the road. We got to see how that plays out. This has been your Clash at the Castle Scotland review on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Ashlee, let's catch everybody up on the news of the week as we go over to the Control Center.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
Okay, Ashlee, my very first news story for you this week. Jeff Hardy on Friday night made his return to TNA Wrestling as they were having their Against All Odds premium live event. In the main event, it was Moose versus Matt Hardy. Moose is a member of the System. They were beating down on Matt Hardy after the match, and Jeff Hardy's music plays. He comes out and makes a save, and he got a great pop from the TNA fans.
Oh yeah, Jeff Hardy's always going to get a great pop no matter where he goes. I think this might be the least surprising AEW departure. When Matt left, I think it was pretty much a done deal that Jeff was going to follow him. He followed him to AEW, so following him to TNA makes so much sense. I hope it can work out a little bit better for them there. They sort of struggled to get on kind of the same page and on the same page with AEW while they were there. So here's to hoping they can get back on track and maybe do something big in TNA.
Exactly. I feel like their time in AEW was kind of cursed in a way. We had the entry to Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, and we also had some legal trouble with Jeff Hardy there as well. They had to deal with. And I got a feeling that, they have this large roster in AEW, and they kind of got lost in the shuffle in the tag team division as you had like everybody coming in, and you had the Young Bucks versus FTR, you had the Young Bucks versus Penta and Ray, and they just got down into the mid card. And I mean, they did some fun stuff with like Private Party. I enjoyed Matt Hardy with Private Party, that kind of stuff that he was doing for a while, but them back in TNA wrestling, we'll save this for the 76 questions. I feel like is the best move for them. Let me go to my next news story for you. My second news story comes out of the media availability before Clash at the Castle, as Bayley was talking to the Cultaholic people, and she was talking about how she's looking to possibly going over to Marigo and wrestling in Japan, as we've seen WWE more open to send talent across the world. And oh, by the way, AJ Styles is heading to NOLA as well. Hint, hint, additional news story.
Yeah, I saw that. Like I said a few weeks ago, it's very cool to see them kind of join the rest of the wrestling world eventually, it would be very cool. And for something like Marigold that's just starting up, that could be a huge deal for them.
Exactly. And I got a feeling that WWE is going out of their way to try to establish a foothold in this expanding wrestling universe, as they're looking at AEW doing the same thing with their partnership with CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're going like, we need to do this too, so we're not left out the full door here.
Yeah, and it's a bit strange because they've never really minded before, it seems.
Well, it all comes down to one person. They don't have Vince McMahon there anymore, and Vince McMahon kind of always felt like his version of WWE was separate from everybody else. And TKO was looking around going like, why don't we partner with other people? Why don't we try to get the most eyeballs and the most money we can get as we send people across the world to represent our brand?
Yeah, and I'm sure like having that like Rossi Agawa connection is probably also making it a little bit easier for them to maybe send talent to something like Marigold to begin with.
Very, very true. On to my next news story for you. As Matt Riddle was pulled from some event dates over this past weekend, he was supposed to be at Northeast Wrestling on June 14th and North Shore Pro Wrestling on June 15th. Matt Riddle went to Twitter on Friday and saying that he was in an accident as his Uber was heading to the airport. He suffered a concussion and had to get checked out in the hospital. We just want to wish Matt Riddle a speedy recovery, and hopefully he'll get back into wrestling here as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with something as serious as a concussion. Obviously, all the best to him and hope he's back soon.
We're going on to my next news story, as Natalia Markova has re-upped with the National Wrestling Alliance. Now, if you haven't been watching NWA for a while, she is one of their top female talents and one of their best heels in the company. So I'm personally excited for her to re-up here. Personally, I'd love to see her do some more stuff in TNA, hopefully, as we're talking about these doors opening and people entering and exiting different companies. But she re-ups with the NWA, so that's a positive sign for me.
Yeah, no, it's a good little like kind of like re-signing for them. We talked at the beginning of the year how they might struggle to keep people, but being able to keep somebody of her talent is a big plus for them.
And my next news story for you, Ashley, as we have learned, Chad Gable has re-upped with the WWE, and I gotta say, Hunter put him over amazingly at the post-scrum after Clash at the Castle Scotland. And he basically said, as long as Chad Gable wants to be in the WWE, he wants to have Chad Gable.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? He's shown he can play like both sides of it. He can do promos. He can do the wrestling. He's got it all. You just got to be willing to, like you said, like put the faith in him.
Exactly. And my last news story for you this week. This is one you gave to me about 72 hours ago. and I heard you screaming and cheering for joy all the way down here in Knoxville, Tennessee, as Heyman Adam Page, reported by Fightful, is set to return sometime next month. And I got a feeling that it's going to be before July 24th and Blood and Guts. I got a feeling, call me crazy, but I got a feeling that he's going to be there before that event.
I hope so. I feel like it's been forever, and I'm excited to see him come back in full heel Hangman mode.
Exactly. I'm waiting to see him come back to help the Elite as they go into Blood and Guts and fight Team AEW again. And we'll talk about Team AEW next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling as we're bringing the Control Center to end here on June 18th, 2024 here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Let's go over to our stunning 6 questions of the week.
Time to ring the bell. As Shawn and Ashlee debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys. And what the hell was that?
Okay, Ashlee, my very first stunning question for you. What do you think of this year's G1 blocks?
I'm very excited for this year. As I was saying before we started recording, I feel like they've tried to do a lot of like extra things with the G1 over the past few years, maybe to try to like drum up some more interest or something. But I feel like this is perfect. You have a couple of surprises, but you have a lot of people who deserve to be there.
Very true. So allow me to present you with A block. A block has Shota Umino, Naito, Shingo Kandari, Sonata, Great Khan, Zack Sabre Jr., Gabe Kidd, Jay Lee, your favorite professional wrestler in the whole wide world, Evil, and there's a set of A block talent. One person will finally get this 10th and final spot through a tournament, and we have that qualifying tournament bracket up here just in a minute for you. But Ashlee, what do you think of A block?
I love this block, honestly. This is going to be good.
You know, when I first saw this block come out, I was going like, David Brightley is going like, what did Zack Sabre Jr. do to get this disrespect? Because it's going to be hard for Zack Sabre Jr. to get out of this bracket.
It is, but I want him to.
I mean, I'm right there with you, Ashlee, and I know David would be too. I feel like, if not now, when was Zack Sabre Jr.?
Right, and like Zack Sabre Jr. is like he's so committed to New Japan. I want them to put as much faith in him as he has in them. You know?
Exactly. So let's allow the people to see B block, and B block has El Fantasma, Goto, Taichi, Yurima, Jeff Cobb, Hernari, David Finlay, Ren Narita. Katesha makes the AEW spot here, and the last spot, of course, will be one of the B block qualifiers. So what do you think of B block here?
I like B block as well. I'm pretty excited for like Yota Tsuji and Konosuke Takeshita. I think that'll be good. Or like Jeff Cobb. I can't wait. Jeff Cobb alone is worth the people watching B block.
Okay, so when I saw this bracket come down, I was going like Jeff Cobb versus Hernari. Whatever day that is, I'm circling that, and I'm going to literally get up early to watch this freaking match. I gotta say, they're
going to beat the hell out of each other.
Very true. They didn't do no favors to David Finlay for your IGP Global Champion because, dude, this bracket is brutal too.
This is like the monster bracket, honestly. These are some of the biggest boys in New Japan.
Okay, so let's look at the qualifying group here. You have A block in the red, B block in the blue, and I think the most noticeable thing I saw of this is Chase Owen in the red and TJP in the blue don't have first round buys here as they have to wrestle matches before going to the semifinals of this quick tournament to find that 10th and final competitor in each block.
Yeah, nobody's getting a free ride this year, it seems.
Exactly. I got a feeling we will not see Yano in this G1 tournament, and that's going to be a first for a very long time here.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I could see TJP pulling it off, but I think it'll be between Tana and TJP.
You know what? At least the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling didn't totally give himself a free ride into this G1 tournament. He's going to have to at least win one match to qualify in that 10th and final spot.
Right. You can't like nepotize yourself right into it.
Exactly. And if we can keep Kenta from winning his qualifying match, I'll be perfectly happy. So if we can keep Kenta away, that'd be perfectly good for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to our second stunning question of the week. And I gotta say, our second stunning question is one for you, my friend. as we learned in the control center, Heyman Adam Page is on his way back. Who should he feud with first?
So if I think we're kind of maybe both figuring that he comes back and joins with the Elite as this heel. I would like to see him maybe take on some of these like pro AEW guys, like feuding with somebody like a Daniel Garcia. I think like Daniel Garcia is somebody who like AEW fans are not going to like not rally behind. So having Hangman try to work in a heel character against him, I think could be very fun. Hell, MJF is back in super ultra baby face now. Hangman versus MJF.
Well, if memory serves you correctly, Swerve is your AEW World Champion, and we're already doing him versus Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. That's in June. You flip the counter over. We need a world title match for All in London. Why not Heyman Adam Page versus Swerve in London for the AEW World title?
Hey, that means that Hangman's in the Owen, and I'm for that.
Yes, I feel like that would be the way I would go. I would have him cheat his way through the Owen Hart tournament to get that shot at Swerve Strickland, because we need to finish this story, because if we remember correctly, Heyman Adam Page said he would do everything in his power to make sure that Swerve Strickland was never the AEW World Champion.
Yeah, and that means we could get Hangman Ospreay. That means we could get Hangman Shingo. That means we could get Hangman Pact. That means we could get Hangman. And oh my god, that I love this. Put him in there and let's get all of these matches. I need Hangman and Danielson Ford. That's personal though.
Well, I gotta say, it's gonna be a very fun July watching AEW TV, and AEW does need a shot in the arm, and having Heyman come back, and as reported in Fightful as well, Sammy Guevara is on his way back too. Two of their younger talents coming back into the fold at a perfectly good time. And we're going on to my third standing question of the week for you, Ashlee. As Jim Ross was talking on his podcast that he's read up with AEW for another year, my question to you is, when we get ready to retire Jim Ross, should he go back to WWE for one last match before he retires?
I think it would depend on the match. I wouldn't want to see him like go back to call a match for maybe two wrestlers he hasn't been very familiar with or something like that. But if you want to do something like the Drew McIntyre versus like CM Punk or something as like a big last match, like two guys like that, I could definitely see him like doing something like that. But I don't see why he wouldn't want to anyway. Like so much history there, obviously. And this is, what he does best. So I don't see why he wouldn't go back for one more at some point.
Well, this might be just me be wishful thinking here and me being just a little bit greedy, but I kind of want him to get back by WrestleMania season and maybe Rock versus Cody Rhodes, have him on the call like there. Yes, and I don't know if that works with the contract, but Tony, if you're able to and you listen to this podcast, maybe free Jim Ross up for like a weekend in April so we can have him call Cody versus Rock. I feel like that would be a gift to all your sicko professional wrestling fans.
Yeah, I feel like I said, as long as like health wise he's up for it and everything. I know he's had like some health issues lately. I'd be all for it. I don't see why. Like I know like obviously like contract wise he wouldn't be able to, but like WWE I know would probably be open to it, and if he was free, I'm sure he would be as well.
It's just something with me. Jim Ross is that voice of my generation. I know there's a generation behind me now that it's Michael Cole and those people, and they're going like, Jim's falling off a little bit. But to me, it's kind of like listening to the person that I grew up listening to professional wrestling with is Jim Ross. He told the stories. He told the action in the ring. And I kind of want to have one last ride of him in WWE.
Yeah. Plus, I think that's kind of where he excels now is like when you put him in like the big main event match and he can focus on that and stuff like that. I'll say at least in AEW, it's been probably like the strongest way for him to go.
Very true. We'll come back to this question next year around the WrestleMania season and see if I'm right or I'm just crazy dreaming here. On to my next question. Ashlee, this past Saturday, it was a 1-year anniversary of Collision, our favorite professional wrestling show. Literally, we started a podcast to review Collision called the Double Clothesline Podcast. So, Ashlee, what was your favorite moment from year one of Collision?
Oh my God, how do I pick one? Like every Bryan Danielson match that's been on there. The Bang Bang Gang taking on FTR in that tag match might be like one of my favorite moments, one of my favorite matches on Collision, hands down. It's not the learning tree. I'll tell you I'll tell you that.
You're right. It's not the freaking learning tree. No way in the God's green earth if that's the answer to this question. You did say mine, though. It's FTR versus the Bang Bang Gang, as we saw Juice Robinson and Switchblade Jay White challenge for the AEW tag team titles in that classic hour match that everybody wanted 5 more freaking minutes because it was so freaking good.
Yeah. I mean, even something like the Danielson Ricky Stark Strat match. I mean, what a great match! And Danielson didn't even have both arms at the time. Like, really makes you wonder about Ricky Starks and what's going on. But man, Collision has been probably my favorite wrestling show over the past few months. It's usually a can't miss.
Very true. And there may be one person responsible for that. And my next question for you is Christian Cage the MVP of Collision in year 1?
Possibly. Like, Christian Cage has been on a tear, and even this week, absolutely killed it. He'd be right up there, especially because he's been great in the ring. The character work has been great. The storylines have been like consistent for him. The TNT Championship run was great. It's honestly a great show.
Well, I got to say, this past Saturday night, the Father's Day segment in the ring was brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch this on YouTube because it was so great. You had the patriarchy in the ring and Kill Switch, Luchasaurus, however you want to address them, made this amazing artwork image of Christian Cage. He pulls off the cover and Christian goes like, that's okay. But look at this card that Nick gave me. And it's like this cheesy, like cardboard paper,
construction
paper, like, and Christian Cage is like, this is the greatest gift ever. And I'm just waiting for Luchasaurus to lose his mind and pick the picture up and crack Christian over the head with it. I feel like the crowd wanted him to do that. And we're getting closer to Luchasaurus maybe coming back and Killswitch finally getting tired of being Christian Cage's second favorite son.
Yeah, the crowd definitely chanting Luchasaurus at him. He almost walked out, but I think it'll be a few more weeks until he finally stops laying down for Christian the way he has been.
I gotta say, having a secondary AEW show in Collision has given Christian Cage and people like Jay White, Juice Robinson, FTR, Sammy Guevara, Ricky Starks an opportunity to have time to perform in the ring and have long matches. And yeah, okay, fine. Yes, I'd rather have long professional wrestling matches than short storyline matches that you see sometimes on AEW Dynamite. I am a Collider. I'll go ahead and admit it. A year in, I am Team Collider.
Yeah, honestly, same. It's usually got my BCC. It's usually got FTR, the Bang Bang Gang. Like, Juice Robinson's evolution alone from the time when he came into AEW to it seemed like he was kind of going to be just a guy that got lost in the shuffle a little bit. And then they paired him up with Jay White. They paired them up with the Guns. And suddenly he's like one of the best characters in AEW and has been for quite some time. AEW this morning, they were all on it. It was fantastic. Or yesterday.
Oh, yeah. And well, by the way, Guns up.
Always.
Okay, so on to my sixth and final standing question of this week. And we kind of have already talked about it during the Control Center. And I got to say, what do you want to see from a Matt and Jeff Hardy return to TNA wrestling? I think we both agree, Ashley, we want to see them challenge for the TNA tag team titles and have a good feud with the system and the top level talent there in TNA wrestling. And then have their swan song and maybe slide back to WWE like Jim Ross for one match and call it a career.
Yeah. I feel like if they're going to do something with the Hardys, if they want to put like the titles on them, they should kind of do it quickly. I've kind of said how I feel about watching Matt and Jeff Hardy wrestle. It's not that I don't love them. I do. It's just, it can be tough. Their bodies are not, as young as they used to be. And it certainly shows at times. And I want them to be healthy outside of wrestling. So I hope that, working with the roster in TNA is stacked. So I'm hoping that, they can work with some good talents there, kind of reunite and hopefully, like I said earlier, like get on the same page with the company and themselves and kind of have a good run on kind of what went down in AEW.
Actually, I just thought about this. They can reappear on TNA Impact with Vanguard 1 going like, Vanguard 1, you malfunctioned. We've been stuck inside of you for the last 4 years or so. Can you update us on what happened in the world and keep it in that broken Matt Hardy universe?
Yeah, and honestly, like TNA has a lot of those kind of like over the top like storylines even now going. So I mean, the broken Matt Hardy in that universe could fit like right in with a lot of the stuff going on.
And the best version of the Broken Hardy universe was in TNA wrestling. We saw the watered down version in WWE when WWE didn't own technically the IP rights to using the Broken, so they had to go Woken just so they wouldn't have any kind of legal issue. Now we're back in TNA wrestling with Matt and Jeff having control of this. I'm just hoping it's going to be some entertaining stuff, and it's going to make me want to watch Thursday nights now.
Yeah, definitely. Because like even Matt tried some of that stuff at the beginning of AEW, but I'll say I think it was like kind of hit and miss. Like some of the stuff was good, like the Stadium Stampede stuff I loved. I know that wasn't everybody's, but I loved that. But like some of the stuff that like with the drone and stuff, I know that some people didn't like. But I think right now TNA is a great spot where he can be featured as kind of like a higher card person. I think that's what he was looking for in AEW, and that's not something that AEW was really willing to give him.
I do believe you're right there. I feel like Jeff and Matt both wanted to be positioned better in AEW, and unfortunately, it's such a big freaking roster. You're going to have a better chance of being featured in TNA wrestling, and we're going to end our 76 questions this week as we head over to mine and your favorite segment of the week. It's
Shawn and Ashlee's top 5 matches of the week. As they count down their 5 favorite matches from the past week, did your favorite match make the cut?
And Ashlee, it's our top 5 matches of the week. And do you want to go first or you want to go second?
I'll go first. I almost had to make this a top like 7. It took me, I had my matches written out, but I had like 8 or 9 of them. And I was like, I don't know which ones to get rid of. And then when you sent me the matches you had on your list, I was like, I'm going to put some different ones on here. That way we don't have the same matches on our list as we usually do.
We are very famous for having similar lists. And I do believe that we both want to shout out Deonna Purrazzo versus Thunder Rosa from Collision, as that was a honorable mention on both our lists, and it almost made both our lists.
Yeah, like, very cool. Another women's hardcore match in AEW where they killed it. I loved it. But I started off my list with New Japan Seoul this weekend. TMDK, Robbie Eagles, and Kosei Fujita taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors, and Drilla Maloney. I don't have enough good words to say about TMDK. I love these guys, and even though they didn't get the win in this match, Kosei Fujita got a lot of spotlight and a lot of room to really shine. And I thought he killed it for somebody who is as young as he is and kind of being put in the position that he's like been in. He's been kind of like a little bit fast tracked with no excursion and everything like that. I thought he did fantastic. And I thought this was like kind of like one of those rare matches where there wasn't as much interference as I was anticipating going into it. And I appreciated that. And I just thought Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney looked great.
Well, I saw another match on this list of yours, and when I saw it this morning while I was reviewing some matches for the show, I was going like, there's going to be a moment where I'm going to be like, did New Japan Pro Wrestling remember a certain rule that Ashlee established in her 3-point plan? But we'll save that for a second as I'll give you my number 5 match. And I went back to Clash at the Castle. It's Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. I know it's not Scotland's desired outcome, but still, it was a great match with a great finish where we knew CM Punk was going to interfere, and my hat's off to WWE to figure out how to pull it off and still make it so entertaining. And I can't wait to see what happens on Raw once we get off the show here, and we'll talk about Raw next week for you guys. Ashlee, what is your number 4 match of the week?
All right, so number 4, I went with Mercedes Moné taking on, forgive me if I mispronounced this one, Zeuxis?
But this was a great match, and I feel like Mercedes is working her magic here as we head to Forbidden Door and her match with Steffi Vadir, the CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. And that is going to be one of my matches I want to see at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. But being introduced to Zeuxis this way was, I thought, fantastic. I thought they did, I think heeded a lot of the AEW fans' concerns, and they kind of showed you a little bit of who she was and what she meant to Stephanie Becker and what that means and why, and why she's taking on Mercedes Moné. And then Mercedes Moné, like, man, just selling her ass off out there. She took it looked like it was like a brutal match for these ladies.
I gotta say, a lot of people may owe Mercedes Moné an apology because they thought she was coming into AEW not at 100%. And just look at what she's done in the past month in the ring, and you're going like, I think we owe her an apology. Yes,
for sure. She looks fantastic.
Okay, so my number 4 matchup this week came from New Japan Soul, as it's for the IGP Global title as Sonata versus David Finlay, and David Finlay rights the one wrong in his mind, his loss to Sonata last year at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Cup in an excellent match. And I gotta say, Sonata did Dum Dum Babyface. He had the submission locked in, and David Finlay was working to get out of it. And I felt like maybe the referee should call this match. He lets go. He goes up to the top rope. David Finlay gets his knees up, hits his finisher, and David Finlay retains his title.
Yeah, no, this was a very good match. It was nice to see both guys who have kind of recently come back from injury look so good. David Finlay, I feel like people are still a little split on him, but he's looked pretty good his last few, like, I would say this, since the start of the year, actually.
I'm just wondering how long he's under contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, because I got a feeling there's a future in the WWE for that gentleman once he gets available to negotiate a contract.
Oh, I wouldn't see why not, but you would hope that New Japan, if they want to keep him around, they should certainly try to work on it. They've lost quite a lot of talents. I think they should maybe concentrate on keeping some of these people they're building up.
And what better person to have as your evil foreigner than David freaking Finlay? I mean, like, I gotta say, dude is great. So, Ashlee, what is your number 3 match of the week?
All right. So, again, from New Japan Soul, El Desperado versus Show. This match was like 40 minutes or something like that. Steel cage match. Show trying to cheat at every opportunity. Classic House of Torture. El Desperado did not allow it and wins the Junior Heavyweight Championship. And I am excited for this reign and the challenges that Desperado is going to have, especially after winning Best of Super Juniors.
Okay, Ashlee, I watched this match this morning, and I saw the steel cage, and I'm thinking, like, this might be just a little bit too early to bring the steel cage back for New Japan Pro Wrestling, because literally we just saw it back in February for the first time ever, so now we're at the second time ever, and I was going like, is the House of Torture going to get in this cage? Am I going to come here on the show and have to listen to Ashlee just go off about New Japan Pro Wrestling destroying their cage match during the second one as the House of Torture figures out how to climb the freaking cage or get into the cage? And I, for one, was happy they did not get into said cage.
Yeah, no, I'm so thankful that it was relatively clean for cage match with the House of Torture. But Show is a fantastic competitor. I might not like the character or the stable, but I think he's fantastic in the ring. So him versus El Desperado, who's been on this, like, he's always been good, but I feel like this run with, like, through the Best of Super Juniors, winning it, and then this match has been phenomenal.
I got a feeling that they get some big plans for him during the fall here. We'll just have to keep an eye on it here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. And I'm going back over to Clash of the Castle for my number 3 match of the week, as it's Piper Niven versus Bayley for the Women's Championship. I gotta say, it was a great showing for Piper Niven, and I was hoping she would win the title here, and we would have had that feel-good moment for a second time in this show. But fine match. I'm happy Piper is getting this push. And go back to the media scrum. Triple H had a lot of good things to say about Piper Niven, so I feel good about her future in the company.
Good. I hope this means she gets more time, because, like I said earlier, she definitely showed that she's earned it,
Exactly. And we do need to see that Chelsea Green and Piper Niven joint WWE Women's Championship run. We need to see it. It's money waiting to happen, in my opinion, just personally. I might be biased. Ashlee, what was your number 2 match of the week?
All right. So speaking of being a collider, my number 2 match from Collision is the Blackpool Combat Club taking on Shane Nace and Mikey Nichols from my boys in TMDK, Leo Rush and Rocky Romero. I just want to shout out Leo Rush because, again, like I said it last time I spoke about him, he's had like some hiatuses from wrestling. He kind of has, other things he does outside of it. And when he comes back, man, like, he's so good. I need so much more Leo Rush. I like how they kind of even brought him into the fold after a little bit, kind of rekindling things with like Dante Martin and stuff like that. But this was like a very cool kind of like an 8-man tag team, but this tag team with TMDK, Leo Rush, and Rocky Romero is kind of a wild one, but I like it.
It was like you got this game system, and you just hit random for your 8-man tag match. You hit random, and you get this random tag team facing off against the established Blackpool Combat Club. But it was a fun, entertaining match. And like you said, Leo Rush is having the best run of his professional wrestling career. And I remember him being back in the WWE. He had a decent run, and a lot of people had thought he falls short of what was expected of him. But this last run is great. Him in Progress, him in New Japan Pro Wrestling, him here in AEW. I mean, like, dude is on fire. And I think the sky's the limit for this guy, wherever he ends up. I mean, like, if he does some more stuff in AEW, that's fine. But he does a lot of stuff in New Japan Strong and New Japan Wrestling proper.
Yeah, and like he had like a little in-ring moment there with Bryan Danielson, and like, hey, Tony Khan, can you do that one-on-one? I'd like to see Danielson versus Leo Rush, please.
That's a match I never finally needed until I saw them locked up there during that 8-man tag match. I'm going like, yes, please sign me up too. I'll go sign up one. So my number 2 match was your number 3 match of this week, as it was El Dorado versus Show. And like you said, it was 40 minutes of a cage match. And thank goodness the cage did what it was supposed to do, keep the heels out. We saw the babyfaces come down to pull the House of Torture away. So Ashlee must have been on the phone to President Tanahashi going like, dude, get down there. But this is a good match. If you have New Japan World, go back and watch this one. Very entertaining. Ashlee, what is your number 1 match this week?
So number 1, again, because Collision. Before I say my number 1, I do want to shout out one that was another match that I did not know I needed, but was fantastic from Collision. Go watch it. Was Dalton Castle versus Hechicero. That was great. But for number 1 on Collision, I went with the other mixed tag match there. Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe taking on Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita. All of these guys in this match, I don't know how this could have ever been a miss. Mark Briscoe, I need more like promo time for him. I kind of need a bigger push for him. He's the Ring of Honor champion. He's showing up on Dynamite. He's showing up on Collision. It's not on Ring of Honor as much as I'd like, but man, Konosuke Takeshita obviously getting primed to head to the G1. Kyle Fletcher, who's been on a kick for as long as I can remember, since he's come to AEW. And Roderick Strong coming out of this international championship run, I think he's so good. I love this character he has. I love his in-ring work. I'm excited to see if he sort of ends up taking over Undisputed Kingdom, because I just don't think Adam Cole is close to being back yet.
Well, I'll offer you a counterpoint here. Why not just put Undisputed Kingdom off to the side? You kick Will Ospreay out of the Don Callis family. You have Roderick Strong join the Don Callis family. I mean, like, it seems like a fit. I mean, literally, he's tagging up with them all the time now.
Yeah, they seem to have like some sort of like backroom deal going.
But I gotta say, that was a fun tag team match, and we're gonna have one kind of similar this week on AEW Dynamite. So more fun for us to talk about next week on the show. But my number 1 match this week is Rey Fenix versus Will Ospreay for the international title. Have you ever seen someone do a top rope hurricanrana and a guy just land on his feet and walk away like it's nothing? I didn't see that until like Wednesday night, and I'm just sitting there looking at Will Ospreay and going like, "You're not from this planet, are you?"
He is an absolute like athletic freak.
Oh, how about Rey Fenix? He took a spinning DDT from Will Ospreay and literally kicks up like in the same move and walks away from it. I'm going like, these guys are like Gumby. They are made out of mobile clay.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. What they do is not human.
And, I gotta say, one side criticism to AEW, if we're gonna have all these title matches on Dynamite and Collision, eventually you're gonna have to pull the trigger on one of these, because eventually you're gonna go like, okay, the champions are always gonna retain because you only change your titles on the pay-per-view. I know, don't get Will Ospreay's first loss on free TV, but I would have been perfectly happy seeing Ray Phoenix with his international title after that match.
Yeah, no, I feel like you're right about that. I feel like they do that with the eliminators too. Like, what's the point of having the eliminator match? Like, if no one's ever going to win it.
Because they don't want to defeat their champions on free TV, so they do the eliminator match so they can do that to lead to the pay-per-view. It's just like, oh, we just work our workaround, but then it becomes this trope that we all know of.
Yeah, and I don't like that kind of predictability. There's some like story beats and stuff like should make sense. It should be a little bit like understandable and predictable in a way, but like to kind of figure out every single thing that's not fun.
Well, talking about story here, you had a good story beat here at the end of the match as Swerve Strickland comes into the ring, and he just kind of John jacks with Will Ospreay for a minute, saying that he's not able to carry both the international title and the world title. Will grabs the belt from him, holds both belts on his shoulders, and Swerve Strickland walks up to him, leans in and goes like, lucky we're still friends, because if it was any other person on the planet, I would put them in the grave, and walks away with his title.
Yeah, I think Will Ospreay was just showing him he could do it. He's like, I can physically hold them both. See,
this is great ending to Dynamite. I feel like Dynamite had a great ending, and it made me excited for this Forbidden Door match between Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. So, yeah. Ashlee, before we get out of here on this episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling, okay, Ashlee, next week on the show we're previewing Forbidden Door, and our pick champion, is gracing us with her presence as Hollywood Kimmy Sokol makes her return next week on the show to defend her title. Ashlee, we got to get this title off of her. B, I need to be not 0 for 2024, as I have literally lost every single pick contest this freaking year.
Well, we got some shows coming up, so we'll have plenty of opportunities. But I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be a great show. I think this is one of maybe the best built Forbidden Door they've done.
I gotta say, and it's always fun to have Kimmy on the show. She always offers unique and insightful perspectives, and usually keeps me on my toes, just like you do.
Plus, she understands like the same like frustrations we have with everything too.
I mean, granted, I feel like you guys to be co-GMs of Ring of Honor for some odd reason, but I don't know. I feel like I'm contractually obligated to say that each and every time you guys are on the show.
Listen, I would do it.
Ashlee, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
I'm usually on Twitter, and it's at groovy_ash_. And then on there, I have my other socials are just pinned there.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can always follow this show on www.rayofreepw.com to catch up on the last episode. You can always follow me on Twitter at RPWShawn. It's usually where I try to give you some insightful looks into professional wrestling and usually some wrong picks. So if you ever see me say, hey, this is the winner of the match, run away. But until next week, Ashlee, stay stunning. Guns up.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show? Do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunningly.